Hi, everybody. Welcome to our very first online information center or session for the North Carolina State University Libraries Fellows Program. We're all incredibly nervous because this is the first time we've done this, but we're so pleased that you guys could be here with us. So first, we're going to introduce ourselves. My name is Lisa Ruth. I'm currently the Associate Head for Recruiting and Visitor Relations here, and I also serve as the coordinator for the Fellows Program, and I'm also a former fellow and a UNC Sills grad.
I'm Jason Caston. I'm the Associate Head for Digital Library Initiatives. Our department also hosts a lot of fellows, and I've personally supervised a lot of fellows, and I am also a UNC Sills graduate.
I'm Lauren DeMonte. I'm a current fellow. I'm working in the makerspace for my initiative, and my home department is actually working with Lisa in personnel and visitor relations. I'm a graduate of the University of Toronto.
And I'm Hannah Rainey. I'm also a current fellow, and I'm working in IT on an initiative for effective stewardship of library data. And my home department is research engagement, and my degree is from the University of Texas at Austin.
There we go. Okay, so hopefully you guys are seeing something like this on your screen right now, and it would be great if each of you could introduce yourselves, just tell us your name and your school. This is just so we kind of have an idea of who we're talking to. You don't have to enter anything if you don't want to, but in that same box that's right next to the live stream window, you can also type in any questions that you might have as we go along. So Hannah is monitoring all the questions and comments as they come through. If they're relevant in the middle of the presentation, we'll answer them then, or we most likely will just wait and address everything at the end of the presentation. But please feel free to throw anything at us about NC State, about NCSU Libraries, or about the Fellows Program. Okay, so let's get started. Just to tell you a little bit about the program and why you should consider the NCSU Libraries Fellows Program. First of all, the Fellows Program was started 20 years ago. We've had almost 80 fellows go through the program. It is meant to offer an exciting and creative professional opportunity with highly competitive benefits package for new graduates. So you can see we've got that $63,000 annual salary. That's a pretty high starting salary. It is meant to be a risk premium in acknowledgement of the fact that it is a 2-year appointment. But in your 2-year appointment, you really get to work on a wide variety of projects, we think more than you would at your standard entry-level job. And you also get $2,500 professional development stipend, and you have a lot of freedom on how you spend that. But we're going to talk a lot more about that later. Just going to tell you a little bit about the libraries. So we are NC State's competitive advantage. The libraries were made up of 2 main libraries, D.H. Hill and Hunt, and then we have 3 branches, Design, Natural Resources, and Vet Med. Spread across these 5 locations, we have about 200 staff members, and they're split almost evenly between librarians and non-librarians. So we are a large research library tasked with supporting NC State's graduate and undergraduate programs and researchers. We're also very proud of what we've been able to accomplish. You can see here that earlier this year, we won the IMLS National Medal for Museum and Library Service, which you see here, and it was awarded to our library director, Susan Nutter, by First Lady Michelle Obama. Susan was also named Library Journal's Librarian of the Year and ACRL's Academic and Research Librarian of the Year. We have 7 Library Journal movers and shakers on our staff. And then, of course, Hunt Library has won a variety of awards as well. So tell you a little bit about the individual libraries. D.H. Hill is the first main library on campus. The building has undergone many award-winning renovations in recent years, including the terrace that you see here. Other recent projects include the addition of a large makerspace, a state-of-the-art faculty research commons, a graduate commons, and a visualization studio. Hill still houses most of the physical collection and is very much the heart of Central Campus. Oh, I should mention here, if you guys are having any trouble hearing me, just chat to Hannah and she will let me know if everything's working properly or if you have any technical difficulties. So a little bit about James B. Hunt Jr. Library. It's our second main library located on Centennial Campus. Centennial Campus is a world-class research park and technology campus. It houses NC State's colleges of both engineering and textiles, as well as large companies such as Eastman Chemical and LexisNexis, government agencies such as the National Weather Service, and also an ever-changing lineup of small startups. Hunt Library is designed as a working incubator for educational technology, a place where people can gather to explore new ways to research, learn, experiment, collaborate, and affect the world. The building combines a variety of new technology and amazing spaces. The building is chock full of technology-equipped study rooms, as well as high-tech spaces for data visualization, including several large video walls throughout the building. These spaces illustrate the library's commitment to providing spaces and tools to enable new kinds of research. We're going to look at a few examples. So the first of these high-tech spaces is the Game Lab. You're looking at a picture here of a game designed by students in the university's interdisciplinary game design program. The game is called Knoll, which was designed to make use of the space's 21-foot wide touchscreen and uses Kinect to track players' movements. The space is used for game development, game studies, and of course, lots and lots of game playing. But the large screen also makes it ideal for large-scale visualization work for all disciplines. We have several other high-tech spaces in Hunt Library, including two large-scale visualization labs. The one you see here is the Creativity Studio, where you can create immersive environments, interactive exhibits, or flexible classroom and collaborative spaces by projecting onto walls that are both movable and writable. In this space, you can see some of our early, and on this slide, you can see one of our early collaborators in this space, Navy ROTC. Once a week, this white box theater is transformed into the bridge of a battleship, allowing the student midshipmen to practice their maneuvers. And right next door, we have the Teaching and Visualization Lab, which has 3D capable projectors, allowing for 270-degree wraparound projections. The Black Box Theater has been home to many projects, including the Virtual Paul's Cross, which is what you see here on the screen, and it recreates the sights and sounds of London on November 5th, 1622, when John Donne gave his Gunpowder Day sermon. So now I'm going to turn it over to Lauren, and she's going to discuss our commitment to making.
So the NCSU Libraries has a strong makerspace program. We have two makerspaces, one at Hunt Library, which houses our 3D printing service, and a new, larger DIY and peer-to-peer learning space at Hill Library, which you can see on this slide right here. In this makerspace, we have a ton of different tools that faculty and students can use to develop projects and to complete their assignments. So for example, we have a laser cutter, we have several 3D printers, sewing machines, embroidery machines, soldering kits, many kinds of electronics kits, desktop milling machines, CNC robots like a watercolor bot and other kinds of drawing robots, and then other kinds of programmable robots as well. Librarians develop workshops to help students learn how to use these tools, and we collaborate with teaching faculty to develop making-based assignments for both graduate and undergraduate courses. We also consult with researchers to support the development of new products and tools, and we do a lot of outreach to campus groups and to industry to expand our workshop offerings and to develop a strong making community of practice at NC State. I'm going to pass things off to Jason now, who's going to tell us about the collaborative nature of the work we do at NCSU Libraries.
So this is sort of a key section of this presentation, because I think one of the things that this is the key to all of the successful projects that we work on, is that over the years, this library has developed a really rich culture of collaboration. This includes all different types of collaboration, including collaboration across library departments on projects like Quick Search, which is an open source search appliance for searching all kinds of library resources that we release for other libraries to use. The Lentil and My Hunt Library social media harvesting projects that are also open source and used at other institutions to collect social media, specifically Instagram content, to try to incorporate a more diverse set of voices into our university archives. And Virtual Browse, which is a tool meant to kind of complement the highly compact storage in our BookBot by providing a shelf-like browsing interface. We also do a lot of work to showcase faculty research, including projects like the eMammal Lite, Camera Trap project, which is sort of a game for guessing what kind of animal is spotted on the camera trap from all over the world, working with faculty researchers. The Coffee and Viz lecture series, a veterinary medicine 3D scan collection, which is a collaboration across our Vet Med library, our user experience, Scalcomm units, and faculty researchers. We showcase student work through a code art contest where students are encouraged to create some sort of generative art project using a programming language to display on one of our display walls. Lauren talked about all kinds of the sort of range of makerspace activities we do, as well as instructional work that we do within those activities to fill technical gaps for undergrads and graduate students. We also have a lot of campus-wide collaborations, including our alt textbook project, which is essentially an open educational resource initiative to provide grants to faculty to create more affordable and more open learning resources for students. And a data management plan review tool to help faculty get grants and write their data management plans for their grants. We also have a lot of collaboration across international library and cultural heritage communities, including a wide range of open source software releases, attempts to publish new research around the area of packaging software to go beyond open source to working on software distribution for smaller institutions, and projects like SUMO, which is essentially an observational data assessment space usage and that analytics framework that's used at well over 100 other libraries. And Hannah's going to talk a little bit about educating our students, researchers, and the community.
Thank you. So here at NCSU Libraries, we support the education mission of the university, both within and outside of the library. We engage students and faculty in library instruction through class visits and drop-in workshops. And we also encourage and collaborate. Thank you, Lauren. We also encourage and collaborate with instructors to utilize high-tech spaces in both the Hill and Hunt libraries. Additionally, we host a number of high-profile public events that showcase and support the research community. For example, Coffee and Viz is a popular event that has developed a community around visualization and research here in the Research Triangle. And the libraries are also committed to the education and professional development of staff. So just after starting here last June, I attended a data science short course series and learned a lot about data visualization, normalization, and management. And we also have access to learning and networking events offered through the Triangle Research Library Network, which includes librarians from NC State, Duke, UNC Chapel Hill, and UNC Central.
Okay, now that you know a little bit more about NCSU Libraries, we're just going to pull back for a second and talk about North Carolina State University. So we are an award-winning land-grant institution. We're recognized as one of the nation's leading universities in science and technology, and we're also the largest institution of higher learning in North Carolina. We're at about 35,000 students now. We're also one of only 2 universities in the nation leading 2 National Science Foundation engineering research centers, and we're also especially proud of the over 100 startups that are based on North Carolina State research. The university is set up into 12 schools and colleges, and some of those are agriculture and life sciences, design, engineering, and veterinary medicine. And so the library focuses collections and services on these areas of strength. talk a little bit about diversity here at NC State. We are committed to creating a welcoming atmosphere for diverse populations. The campus supports a number of community centers, such as the African American Cultural Center, the GLBT Center, and the Women's Center, as well as other initiatives and events that are aimed to foster equity and inclusion for all members of the community. As part of this commitment, the UNC system has refused to enforce HB 2, which does not reflect the values of NCSU Libraries, NC State, or the Triangle. For the NCSU Libraries, shaping the future of librarianship also includes for us a sustained commitment to creating an inclusive atmosphere for diverse patron populations and increasing diversity in the profession. Our efforts span collection, spaces, services. We have several projects focused on locating and collecting voices of underrepresented communities in archival research. We strive to create beautiful, accessible, and inclusive spaces. For example, library staff, including Lauren, won a university diversity mini grant for a series of workshops and lectures designed to increase and sustain gender diversity in the library's maker spaces. Our outreach and instruction efforts are also designed to foster student success by democratizing access to tools and knowledge, something that you'll hear us talk a lot about. And then we have a variety of efforts to try and increase diversity within the profession. The Fellows Program is actually one of our signature efforts in this area. The hiring rate from underrepresented backgrounds over the history of the program is about 22%. And the most recently hired cohort of 6 fellows, half of those were from underrepresented backgrounds, and that's in comparison to the minority librarian employment rate in ARL libraries of only 14%. So we've also hosted 5 cohorts of ARL Career Enhancement Fellows, and then also we sponsor the attendance of a number of librarians to the Minnesota Institute for Early Career Librarians from traditionally underrepresented groups, in addition to other diversity conferences and events, such as the National Diversity in Libraries Conference. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Hannah, and she's going to tell us about Raleigh and the Triangle.
So, if you weren't already aware, NC State is located in Raleigh, which is North Carolina's capital city, and it was recently named as America's best city by Business Week and was in the Forbes top 10. It's constantly ranked as one of the nation's best places to live and work, and I can attest to that. And so Raleigh is a really fun and easy place to live, and it's part of the Triangle in North Carolina, and the Triangle was first coined to refer to an area anchored by 3 major universities: NC State in Raleigh, UNC Chapel Hill, and Duke in Durham. The 3 joined to help create the Research Triangle Park, which is the largest and oldest continuously running science park in the United States. So Raleigh and the Triangle are well situated in North Carolina. We're just a few short hours from the beach as well as the mountains. And so the Triangle is home to professional sports teams, the arts, extensive parks and recreational areas, and maybe even you.
This is Jason again. I live all the way over in Carrboro, which is essentially at this point in time part of Chapel Hill. It's a town adjacent to Chapel Hill that kind of grew together into it. But Chapel Hill is where UNC is located, and there are a lot of librarians and archivists around the Triangle, and a lot of them have worked at many different institutions or come through UNC or something else. So there are even some librarian couples. So my wife is an archivist at UNC, and I work here at State. So one of us has to commute. So we decided to live in the Chapel Hill area. It's the western point of the Triangle, and it's a really beautiful, kind of small to medium-sized college town with an excellent and old music scene, kind of based around the Cat's Cradle Club, but also around Merge Records, which has now moved to Durham, but still started in Chapel Hill. Award-winning restaurants like Lantern and Crook's Corner, great nightlife. It's become sort of a destination on the weekends for a lot of folks, lots of bars and restaurants and activities, cooperative grocery stores, some of the best taco trucks in the Triangle, really great schools, and it's one of the few truly walkable areas in the Triangle. where you can walk not just to bars and restaurants, but also to grocery stores and doctors and those other things that you need. So I really love living there. And the best part is that there is an express bus between Chapel Hill and Raleigh and between Chapel Hill and Durham. And as an NCSU employee, your yearly bus pass is heavily subsidized so that it's nearly free. And so it's really a much more doable commute than it seems like it would be. Many of our librarians at one point or another have worked in Chapel Hill.
So now this is Lisa again, and I've saved the best for last. That's Durham. Durham, I think, is the most diverse and interesting city in the Triangle. In fact, we are the 12th most educated city in America. Durham has great food and drink, covering everything from barbecue. We've got a number of Beard Award nominated restaurants. We've got microbreweries and even an award-winning gin distillery. The Durham Performing Arts Center is also one of the nation's top venues. We get a lot of wonderful shows that come through there. And then Durham also hosts other events such as the Full Frame Documentary Film Festival, Hopscotch Music Festival, and Moog Fest, which is a music, art, and technology festival. And downtown Durham is just a short, approximately 30-minute commute to NC State, and as Jason mentioned, there is a bus that goes, an express bus that has everything like Wi-Fi on it. So it makes living around in the Triangle a lot easier. So now back to what you're really here for, which is to hear about the Fellows Program. As I said, fellows are given a 2-year appointment, and just like all the librarians here at NC State, fellows have the rank of non-tenure track faculty. Fellows split their time between a home department where they do the work of an entry-level librarian, whatever that may be in that department, and then they also have an initiative assignment where they work on projects of strategic importance to the libraries. Usually that's in a separate department. And then we talked about that $63,000 a year salary, and then the professional development stipend of up to $2,500 a year. You can really use that money in a variety of ways: library conferences, technology conferences, different kinds of training. We've even had a fellow attend South by Southwest using his stipend. There's also a lot of other support in place for fellows. Again, I think a lot of that is because the Fellows Program has been around for 20 years, or almost 20 years now. And so there are lots of former fellows on the staff. We have a Fellows Advisory Committee that organizes tours to area libraries and other events. We also have lunches with the director, and then we also have fun unofficial events like flunches, happy hours, and coffee. So just to tell you a little bit about the qualifications. So you can see some of those here. The other big qualification is that we're looking for recent graduates. So you have to have been awarded your degree up to 12 months before appointment. So for example, most everybody that we're recruiting for right now will probably start on July 1st, 2017. So that means your degree could be awarded anywhere from July 2016 to June 2017. Now, that doesn't mean if you're a December graduate that you can turn off now. We might have placements for December graduates as well. So if that's you, please feel free to apply. So a little bit about how the program works. So each fellow is assigned to a home department and a strategic initiative. You're probably wondering what those initiatives are all about. They are developed each year, so they're always fresh ideas. So the call goes out to all NCSU librarians asking if they would like to submit a fellow's assignment proposal. So these proposals must be in support of, must be of strategic importance to the libraries. And so the areas areas obviously often end up being things like science and engineering librarianship, emerging technologies, and diversity. And I can go ahead and tell you now, I don't know what the initiatives this year will be. I do suspect that we will have initiatives related to making and maker spaces, science librarianship, the work being done in digital library initiatives, and diversity. So usually about 8 proposals are selected to be presented to interview candidates. And if you're selected to interview, those proposals would be sent prior to the actual interview day. Then on the day of the interview, candidates meet with all of the potential initiative supervisors to learn more about those proposals. On the interview day, candidates also meet all the department heads to learn more about their work. Then at the end of the day, candidates rank the initiatives and departments they are most interested in. And then finally, our Directors Council makes the final decisions on who's selected for hire and then where they are assigned. So assignments, just to give you a little bit more context on some of the things we work on. So some recent assignments have included things like advancing research support in the high-tech library, supporting open science, using social media as an outreach tool. What we're looking at here is meant to represent one of the fellows projects that I supervised, working in visitor relations, where she created our mobile app for mobile touring of the library. When I was a fellow, my project was the creation of a licensing module for eMatrix, which is our e-resource management tool. And then now I'm supervising Lauren in a home department assignment where we're working on new ways to recruit in the 21st century and also data management and visualization in visitor relations. And now Jason's going to talk a little bit more about projects in DLI.
Sorry. So DLI is a really interesting department because it's kind of a systems-y department with a lot of software development expertise, but also it's primarily staffed by librarians and is a frequent host of fellows, both as home departments and as initiatives. So DLI works on a huge range of projects ranging from very technical, very technical open source software development projects like the SUMA Analytics Framework, Quick Search, different digital collections, presentation layers, discovery layers, things like this. But we also work in partnership with all of the different departments around the library, doing things like supporting web archiving and social media archival work, building mobile digital exhibits, developing and piloting new outreach and technical instructional programs like the Open Science Initiative that's ongoing right now, developing virtual laboratory environments like the Scholar's Backpack tool, doing data visualization support, and within our visualization unit, developing a lot of different programs around generative art, like the Code Art Award that I mentioned earlier, immersive views of the libraries using 360-degree panoramic photography and looking at ways to either present that through head-mounted displays or embedding it into our pages about our spaces with layers of instructional content or promotional content. So there's a huge range of areas ranging from instruction and outreach and consultation all the way to very challenging cutting-edge software development. So they all have some sort of technical or systems analysis bent to them, but we've accommodated fellows with a wide range of technical backgrounds, and I think they've all found ways to develop successful experiences in the libraries.
Hi everyone, it's Lauren again. Before I tell you about my assignments, I wanted to just remind everyone that you can send us questions privately through the chat that's next to the live streaming window if you have any questions, and we'll address them at the very end. So my home department is in administration with a focus on recruiting and visitor relations, which means, as Lisa mentioned, that I get to work with Lisa, which is awesome. And we work on a huge range of projects involving things like data collection and visualization, developing website content, video production, and of course, giving lots of tours of Hunt Library, which is tremendously fun and exciting. My initiative is focused on growing the library's Makerspace program. And on this side of things, spent a lot of time developing Makerspace workshops, collaborating with faculty to embed Makerspace tools and making methods into course curricula, and organizing events and public talks to help grow and diversify making communities on campus.
All right, this is Hannah again, and I'm going to talk about my work here as a fellow. And so in my home department, which is research engagement, I support student and faculty researchers across campus, but mostly in the College of Education. I also collaboratively design and deliver workshops on data visualization and infographics. And then my initiative in the library is on data stewardship and security, and it's based in the IT department. And so what that project entails is a lot of information gathering from departments across the library regarding data collection, storage, and sharing practices. So I've kind of gone through that first phase, and now I'm formulating some recommendations and best practices based on federal, state, and institutional regulations. So it's been a really kind of whirlwind 6 months, but I've learned a lot, and all of these projects have a lot of room to grow. So it's a really great opportunity. I'm going to turn it back over to Lisa to close us out.
Thank you. So the fellows appointment is for 2 years, and so you're probably wondering, where are all those fellows now? So 95% of the folks that have gone through the fellows program have been appointed to academic library positions or entered doctoral programs upon completion of the fellowship. And we've had former fellows appointed to permanent positions as academic librarians in a variety of college and university research libraries. So what you see on the screen right now is just a representation of a few of them. The list is actually quite a bit longer. And then, of course, as I mentioned, if you interview here, you'll see that there are quite a few former fellows working at the libraries. We keep almost 70% of all fellows at the end of the fellowship, and about 33% of all fellows are still here at NCSU libraries. So just to give you a little bit more idea of the kinds of things that fellows go on to do, here are some titles for you to have a look at, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. We've got Associate Director for Library Assessment and Instructional Services, several professors, couple of PhD students right now, research and evaluation consultant, all kinds of stuff. So I think you can see that fellows go on to do some very interesting work in a wide variety of areas. So I think that's just about it. So tell you a little bit about how to apply. You do have to apply through NC State's online portal. It's fairly painless. You fill out a very short application, attach your cover letter and resume, and we do ask for 4 references. And let me just tell you that your cover letter is super important to us. We realize obviously that you're still in school, your early career, so your cover letter is really your chance to tell us who you are, why you're in libraries, why you're passionate about libraries. So that's really your opportunity to tell us all of that, not just to tell us what's on your resume in a narrative form. Instead, try and tell us who you really are. And if you have any trouble, you can call that number on the screen, or you can find my contact information on the website as well. And last but not least, so when we go around and do these information sessions at library schools around the country, after the information session, we usually meet with interested candidates for little 15-minute informational little short informational interviews. So we wanted to make sure that we gave you all the same opportunity. So at the bottom of the page that you're looking at right now, there is a place to book one of those 15-minute online sessions. We'll meet with you over Google Hangout, ask you a few questions, and then give you plenty of time to ask us about the program and the application process. So we look forward to hearing you through that. And now Hannah is just bringing me the list of questions that we have.
So one of the questions we had for the fellowship is NCSU looking for individuals with more of an information background or library background?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think both. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, we've brought in people with both types of degrees. I feel like at this point in time, we generally don't really make a strong differentiation between them. You know, both are MLS and MIS people are welcome. I work in technology and I have an MLS. Other people work in public services and have an MIS. I think it's more about the specific experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
So another question is, can you use the stipend, the professional development stipend, to attend conferences outside of North Carolina, for example, on the West Coast?
Absolutely, yes. We've had fellows use their stipend to go all over the world, in fact. Lauren, did you go to Spain?
Yeah, I went to Barcelona this past year. I've been to California a few times. It's pretty amazing, all the places you can go with this professional development money.
Yeah, NCSU Libraries is definitely not just a regional library. We're traveling all over the world.
All right, next question. Does NCSU have their own open repository? That is a great question.
I mean, we do have a fairly modest repository system. We use DSpace. We're not a Hydra shop. We also have so the repository stores like electronic theses and dissertations. We also have a custom-built system for managing the entire ETD approval workflow between students and the graduate school. We have a scholarly publications repository, which collects, publications from our own faculty. And we also have a substantial digital collections infrastructure. But I wouldn't say that institutional repositories are one of our prime areas of focus here, although we do work in that area.
All right, and then are the libraries separated into specific schools they support? For example, does DHL support the life sciences and James B. Hunt support design humanities? So is there a division between the libraries?
Somewhat. So Hunt Library actually replaced our engineering and textiles library that had existed previously on Centennial campus. So our librarians from that library are now housed in Hunt. So, and then D.H. Hill has the librarians that focus on the other areas. However, we really, again, with this idea that everybody's welcome to use everything, we all move back and forth between the two buildings. We encourage students to move back and forth between the two buildings. But as far as where their collections are housed, yes, engineering, textiles are sitting at James B. Hunt, and then the life sciences and humanities are here at D.H. Hill. Does that about cover it?
I think so. And then another question is, what can one expect on their first day as a fellow? And I can answer that because I did that most recently. And my first day was a lot of introductions. So meeting a lot of people, you spend the first month exclusively in your home department to get to know how the home department runs and also just the organizational culture. And then you don't start your initiative till that second month. So the first month is a lot of sort of getting up to speed with the organization and meeting everybody, a lot of coffee, a lot of lunches. It's really fun and lovely. And next question. So this is kind of a longer one. So we mentioned that the fellows position is one of the ways that NCSU supports diversity, but the positions are temporary. So the question is, are there any long-term internal efforts? So if a person were to apply but is only one or two few people of color, how are they made comfortable or supported on those terms given the circumstances?
So that's a great question. I will do my best to answer that, both as a woman of color and a former fellow and now a permanent staff member. And I'm on the diversity committee. I'm a permanent member of the diversity committee. So the first thing I would say is that we actually keep a lot of our fellows. I know that the fellows program sounds risky because it's temporary, and that may be where your question is coming from, but we look at fellows as people that we want to keep long term. I don't think we ever hire somebody with the idea of, we're just going to keep them for 2 years. We hire them with the idea that they could join us as full-time employees. And then as far as those continued efforts, as I mentioned, we've sponsored several fellows to go to the Minnesota Institute. So that is for mid-career librarians. We've also had fellows of color, former fellows of color, go to the Harvard Leadership Institute, as well as take part in, there's another one I'm forgetting. I believe it's an ACRL program that we've also had folks take part in. And then we also have a very active diversity committee that we put on a variety of events. We do things once a month to try and kind of keep diversity at the forefront. Like most libraries, there aren't a ton of people of color, but there are more than a few of us here. So I can say for myself that I feel comfortable and supported.
And I can also speak for myself. I'm identify as a woman of color. I'm mixed race, Korean and American, and I find that it is a very supportive place, and that we're trying to make it more diverse every day. All right, next question. Are we responsible for the cost of travel if offered an interview and or relocation costs if offered a position?
Oh, don't worry about any of that. So cost of travel to come to interview, we cover all of that. We try and cover as much as we can on our end, so you don't even have to put out the money. So like we'll pay for your flight and we'll pay for your hotel on our departmental credit card, so you don't even have to worry about paying for those things. The things that you would have to pay for and then be reimbursed for would be your taxi to and from the airport, and then your couple of meals while you're here. But we really try and keep in mind that we know that you're in school and that you're probably going on a ton of interviews, so we try and be very mindful of that. And then we do also offer relocation costs. How much we can offer kind of depends on the status of our various endowments, but we can usually offer a pretty nice relocation package, and that would be part of the offer discussion.
The next question is, how many applicants do you get for the 8 open positions? And to clarify, there isn't a set number of open positions. We accept about 8 initiatives from internal initiatives, and then make assignments based on those.
Yes, sorry, I wasn't clear about that. So we usually get several hundred applications, and then we usually interview, I think it's been about 15 has been about the normal. And then the last 2 years have been very unusual in that we've hired 6 fellows each of the last 2 years. Prior to that, I would say the average is 3 or 4 fellows a year.
All right, and the next question is, what exactly are you looking for in regards to research-oriented internships? So this is coming from someone who's a first semester student. What skills or knowledge would you like to see come from that type of internship?
Jason, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends a lot on where you're hoping to be placed. But in general, I mean, advice I give to library students and also to people early in their career, including our fellows as they near the end of their contracts, is to look at job descriptions for jobs that have been recently advertised anywhere that would be appealing jobs. Compare your own CV to the requirements of that job and look for opportunities to help you fill the gaps you find. And that'll prepare you for the type of career you want to have, whether it's here or at some other place. But I would say that I know this is true here, and I think it's true broadly. practical, hands-on kind of job experience in whatever area trumps having taken a course in something all day long. So if you want to work in a certain area, find some way to get work experience in that area. And that will really put you towards the, top of the pile in any kind of job review, whether it's this one or something else.
And to add to that, the work experience also gives you experience sort of in the interpersonal skills that you don't necessarily learn through that classroom experience. So I'd say that interpersonal skills and communication and presenting information are also important skills to have.
And then I'll just add that I always just tell people, try and work on the most interesting projects that you can, which obviously begs the question, what's interesting? And I mean, what's interesting to you? Because you're not going to do a whole lot of good if you're working on something that's of no interest to you. Whereas if you're working on something that you're passionate about, you're going to end up excelling in that. You're going to get more hands-on experience. And like Jason was alluding to, I'm not going to promise you that it's going to get you into the fellows program, but it'll get you a job if you're working on something you're passionate about.
And then another question is, it was in reference to the broadcast, we mentioned House Bill 2. And so just to explain that, House Bill 2 was passed last year by the North Carolina legislature and governor, and it limited the rights of transgendered individuals to use restrooms based on their gender identity. So it was called the bathroom bill, and it made some national news. So the UNC system does not enforce that because we believe it's discriminatory against certain populations. And so that's what we meant by House Bill 2. And next question is, what is the average age of your fellows?
That's an interesting question. And as the HR person, I would say, we're not supposed to answer that because we don't want to discriminate based on age. But I can say that for a lot of librarianship, this is a second career for folks. I'll tell you, I was in my mid-30s when I started here. I think we've had several other fellows in that age range. I don't want to talk about other people's ages, but if anybody else wants to.
I'm in my early 30s. This is Lauren. So, it's everyone is welcome in the program, no matter how old you are.
Yeah, I think that is the overall message.
I would say, if you're concerned that it's going to be only people that went straight from undergrad to graduate school, that's not necessarily the case. There's a range of ages.
Definitely.
All right, that is all the questions we received. I know there's a bit of a lag, so we'll wait just a few moments to see if there are any lingering questions.
And don't forget to book appointments if you have other things that you want to talk to us about.
And we're hoping to do those next week because we are hoping that all of you interested folks and others will have a chance over the break to get your applications in. We will be accepting applications up through January 26th, I believe, and interviews are scheduled for, I believe, February.
All right, and then this question came up a couple times, so it sounds like we should answer it as a group, is can you update an application that's already been submitted?
You can. So there are a couple of things that you can do, and I apologize, I should know better the exact right thing to tell you, but the answer's changed over the years. It does appear that you can go back into the system after you've applied and you can upload new versions. If you have any trouble with that, you can contact Campus HR and you can contact me as well, and we'll figure out how to do that. I would definitely recommend if there were bells going off for you during this session for things that you want to update, please do feel free to update them. You should be able to go back into the system and upload new versions. If you can't, shoot me an email and we'll figure it out.
Are there any more questions?
Okay, we have another question that came in. Okay, it's just about the application. Again, how do we know if our materials have been looked at already?
So we look at things pretty regularly, so I may have already looked at it, but if you want to update it, that's totally fine. We will look at it again. That's absolutely no problem. But again, if you may want to just shoot me an email and let me know that you've updated so that we know to go back and relook at your materials, because the system won't tell us. At least I don't think it does. Anything else? Okay, doesn't look like anybody's typing anymore. So thank you all so much for coming to our grand experiment.
The recording will be available to you if you want to rewatch anything on this page. You should be able to watch everything again.
Or if you want to share it with any of your friends.
And again, we look forward to meeting with some of you guys online.
Yes. Thank you again.